Hello YouTubers, my name is X Factor and welcome to some Battlefield 4 gameplay. Zavod Rush defense with the Scar H, Flash Hider, Stubby, Coyote Optic, and Laser, working one of my two favorite spots off the break. It's this spot here, and this is the cross angle that you get to look when you're set up in the courtyard, but this isn't the main focus when you're here. You've got to worry about the guys that can get behind you right now and behind left. That's open field for them. And you don't want them there, because if the attackers take over this spot, and if they push up this far back lane that's to my back and left right now, they take away this courtyard. Then they've got a cross angle. They set up a horseshoe on the right side and the left side. You will never get this courtyard back. So if you get eliminated from this spot, or you get drawn back like I'm trying to run to help save an MCOM, but too little too late, it's really tough getting back there. Sometimes you get lucky, but sometimes, more oftentimes, you simply don't, and then you're just stuck in here, a bottleneck, and nade central, basically. So I want to get out of here as quick as possible. I figured I'd take this time to talk to you guys about what's been going on the last couple days, where I've been, because there hasn't been a ton of Battlefield footage or footage on the channel, and what's going on the rest of the month. I don't oftentimes talk about my private life unless it's on my Twitch live stream, which I talk more openly and freely and answer as many questions from community members or new viewers as possible. Most of you guys already know YouTube is just a hobby for me. Gaming is just a hobby for me. It's not my career. It's just something I do for fun, and I happen to make a couple extra bucks at the end of the month from it, which is a bonus, because having 2 kids and a family has real-time costs to it. Kids are not cheap, especially when they're growing a couple inches every day. It feels like it just never stop buying clothing and food, because they're constantly outgrowing stuff, or the seasons are changing. We have 2.5, 3 seasons here. We have very cold winters, very hot summers, and then a fall time, which is kind of in between, and spring kind of mimics fall. So we have 2.5, 3 seasons in this part of the country. Over the last couple days, I've been pretty busy with my career. Not to mention, we took Mrs. X Factor to the lake for her birthday. Got a very nice hotel room on the lake in a very, very quaint and pretty town near where we live now, and just relaxed and had a lot of fun. So that's been going on. I also went back into Counter-Strike. I used to play competitively, and I used to play nothing but Counter-Strike for several years. I was obsessed with it. The thrill of the game, the challenge of the hunt, those minutes where it's a 3v1, your hands are shaking, you're either defending or you've got to get the bomb, and they'll go plant the bomb, those clutch moments. I couldn't get enough of them. But in Counter-Strike, it requires a whole different set of movement, footwork, gunplay mechanics, and of course thought process. It's a much slower game. Of course there's moments where it just pops off, but for the majority of the time you're working with 4 other people on comms, and you've got a given assignment. I'm watching mid doors on Dust 2. I'm watching long A, requiring a much, much lower sensitivity than I have in Battlefield 4, because in Battlefield 4, my hipfire sensitivity is very, very twitchy. It might take about 4.5 to 5 inches to do a complete 360 in hipfire. While ADSing, my sensitivity is about 7.5 to 8 inches in the Coyote Optic. A lot slower. A lot more sluggish, but that's not sluggish enough. In Counter-Strike Go, going back to it, thanks to Jack Frag sucking me in, I went to about 14 inches. And there's only one major sensitivity in the game, unless you op or you're using a scope of some sort. Then you've got a secondary sensitivity you can adjust, but pretty much everything is hipfire, what we would call hipfire in this game. In no way does the twitchy hipfire Battlefield work out. I used to actually be a low sensitivity player before I got into the Battlefield series, and figured Battlefield was a lot more fast-paced, whether you're playing a pub server, a Conquest, some Rush, or even TDM, or playing competitively like I used to. There's a lot more oh shit moments where you've got to cover multiple doorways, multiple angles, such as this, and shit is just hitting the fan. I could not get used to, I could not get adjusted while playing Counter-Strike with Jack Frags, Tommy Rage, Bongy, Carl, and a couple other guys from the group to that low sense. So much so that my first round back was matchmaking with Jack Frags and the boys, where I absolutely stunk it up. The aim was so lethargic, and I forgot about the footwork, the little nuances, and the double burst with the AK, the drag down for the 3rd, 4th, 5th shot, keep dragging down, dumping and dragging down. That came back pretty quick. But what didn't come back was the sensitivity. I fought through it. I literally played TDM for 6 hours straight one night, late at night. I was obsessed about it. Finally started feeling better. Did some more matchmaking with Jack Frags and the boys. Got a little bit better. Then, of course, plugging in with a group like that where Jack played competitively. All these guys play matchmaking all the time. They knew the spots. They knew the calls. They knew the wall bangs. They knew the smokes and the flash spots, the angles. I just had to plug in. X cover mid, X cover long A. Hey, rotate over here. Great. That's awesome. Really easy for me to be an order taker and plug in the system, even though I made about 50 gazillion horrible peaks and bad mistakes, but I still had fun in the process. And I've got some great footage that I can showcase over the next couple of days. Not too much. And of course, a little bit more Plants vs. Zombies because I truly enjoy that game. But the chaos in my private life isn't over. Been living in my loft for about 8.5, 9 years. Purchased it when I was in my young 20s, and it was an amazing place to grow up. When Mrs. X Factor and I started having kids, we said, okay, we'll stay here for 3 years. It's big enough for us to have 2 babies and stay here for 3 years. But then we've still been looking for houses, and Mrs. X Factor found her dream house on the other side of town, away from the river, away from the lake. And they agreed to our terms, and we couldn't be happier. But I have to move for the first time in 8.5, 9 years, which is something no man looks forward to. I've acquired a lot of stuff, a lot of furniture, and it's hot here in the summer. 85 to 90 degrees, hot. So that's something else to look forward to in the middle of the month when we make our big move to our new house. On top of me having to take time to complete some projects that I've left undone. When I purchased my place, I pretty much ripped it down to the studs, and I've done everything from the electrical to the flooring to actually changing the layout of my place in general. So I've got a couple things I've got to tidy up there. What I'm basically saying is there's a lot for me to do in my personal life, so if there isn't a video every day, you now know why, because stuff is getting crazy in my life this month. But don't worry, we're going to be shifting the focus back to Battlefield 4 because Dragon's Teeth is right around the corner. Sprinkle in a little Plants vs. Zombie because I really enjoy that game. A little bit of Counter-Strike Go, and maybe some other stuff in the future. As always, YouTubers, thanks for watching me. Thanks for hanging out, and more importantly, thanks for supporting me. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.